In this tutorial, we're going to be building a very simple operation from scratch. So we're going to start as you open Mermaid. Go over to the right hand side and you can see you can edit ports. So we're going to add a port to begin with. Here our operation, we're going to begin in Falmouth. We just use the scroll wheel to zoom in there. And Falmouth, we're going to name the port. And then we're going to place a turbine a little bit offshore. So click the turbine, name the turbine, we're going to call it offshore location. Next we're going to be adding a metocean point. That's where we're going to store our metocean data, say where it's from. So there's where our metocean data is from, near the offshore location. So that's the plan of the operation in a physical sense, all set out. Now let's move on and add a vessel to our analysis. So here we're going to be adding a vessel. Click the plus on the right hand side there. Name the vessel. Now the vessel display here is currently all graphical, but it would be good to be able to enter some numbers. So we're going to go to the right hand side and click the show tables button. And now we're going to enter the day rate and standby rate. This is the cost of the vessel on a daily basis. And next move down a bit further down to the wave heights, the limits that we're going to put on the vessel. And we're just going to set it so that we can operate in 2.5 meters all around. We'll come into this in more detail on a later tutorial. Finally, we're going to say that this vessel is able to access Falmouth Port. And there you can see there are a load of parameters. We don't need to set those up this time round, but again we'll come back to those at a later date. We're going to skip over the tasks for now and just have a look at metocean data. So we want to analyse against some historical metocean data. So we've just added a source on the right hand side. And we're going to click in, find our CSV file with all our data in. Have a look, there you can see it's got date time and the wave height. And we're going to tell the program that the date is in column 3 and that the wave height there is in column 4. Import the data. Now it's going to sit there and import that data. You can import more than one series from a file, but the files we've got in this case just have one series each. So there's wave height in this one. Now we're going to add another one. And this time we're going to add some wind speed. So open our windspeed.csv, and in there you can see the wind speed is in column 4, and again the date time is in column 3. So we'll just tell it, and there already in there it's got wind speed and telling it that it's in the near offshore location, metocean data point. So we're just going to import that data. It's going to come in, and we will skip over and have a look at the data. So go back to locations. It graphs up the data here. We can click and drag to zoom in on a particular bit of data. We can also go and look at the table. And with the table down at the bottom right there, there's a date picker. So you can use that to have a look at the data in more detail if you want to at different points. So here we're looking at July 1999. And there on the left hand side you can see there's the date time and there's all the samples for that day. Now we're going to set out the actual operation itself, so let's move into the tasks tab, and here you can see there's a blank canvas. So let's go to the right hand side and add a new start point. Next, add a new task, drag that one over, add another new task, drag it over, add a third task and drag it over, and finally we'll add an end point. So click on the right hand side, the endpoint button there, and drag it over. Now we're going to connect them up. To do that you just click on the first element you want to collect and then drag over and click and drag it onto the second element that you want to connect it to. And there you go. There we have the set out operation. We just need to set it up with some more details now. So going on to the start date, we're going to tell it we want it to start in January on the 1st there. And now we're going to start setting up the things we want to do, our actual tasks. So there we have mobilize in port, and we're going to assign our construction vessel to perform this task. We're going to say that it's being performed in Falmouth, and we're going to give it a duration. So we type in 24 there, and it's now a 24-hour task. If you have a look up on the diagram, you can see it says 1 day. We're going to get rid of our 50% metocean limits. We'll explain more about metocean limits in a later tutorial, but there we just set the wind speed to 12 meters per second. We'll get on to the second task now. So this one is where we're going to do some work offshore. Again, this is going to be performed by our construction vessel, and it's going to be performed at the offshore location. The duration of this task, we'll say a couple of days long. This one's going to be a bit more restricted. Again, we'll untick that 50% limit, and we'll set our wind speed to 10 meters per second and our wave height to 1.5 meters. So quite a restricted operation we're doing offshore here. And finally, we come into the last task where we demobilize our vessel. Back in port again. So demob in port. We can assign our construction vessel, because this is the same vessel doing all three tasks. We can assign Falmouth as the place that this is being performed, and the task length there is going to be 15 hours to do that, so we'll set our wind speed down to 12 meters per second. Now you'll notice that what we haven't done here is to assign any tasks for transit or anything like that. And if you click over into the Gantt chart, you can see that Mermaid has automatically determined that because the tasks are in different places, it needs to do a transit, and it's using the parameters that are entered on the Assets tab for vessels to determine how long that transit's going to take, along with the distances that are set out in the Map tab. So you don't have to calculate transits manually. Now we're going to get on to running, so click on the Run tab. Description of this is first run. We select our output directory. All those other things we'll come on to later, but we'll press Run Analysis. And here you can see the analysis running in real time. It's a pretty quick analysis to perform. We're running over about 23 years of metocean data here, so we're doing 23 repeats because we're only doing it in January, 1st of January every year for 23 years. And there you can see it running away. If at any time you want to stop the analysis, of course, you just press Cancel Analysis there. And there's the progress bar ticking up now. If you do have any mistakes in your analysis that cause it not to run, or any warnings, they will appear in the error list at the bottom of the screen, and you can see what to do there. Okay, so it's completed the analysis. You see it's given us a file name, which it's got in the output directory, so we'll skip it to Analyze there. There are no sources added yet, so we'll add our new results that we've created as a result source, as our output. You see, it's a zip file there. All the zip files are human readable, so you can go in there if you really want to and have a dig around. It automatically brings up under the Charts tab of the Analyze section the summary. We're just going to add a chart, the duration box whisker chart, and there's an explanation of what exactly it means in the bottom right hand corner there. But you can see there that our duration is going to be somewhere between 100 and 350 hours. And most of the time is going to be between sort of 200 and 250. Here we've got a duration exceedance chart, which has the duration on the x-axis, the probability of exceeding that time on the y-axis. And there are a number of other charts that you can see that you can add on the right hand side there. So the cost duration chart plots cost against duration of the operation, generally a fairly linear relationship. Although of course if you're comparing different operations, that could be quite an interesting thing to have a look at. Cost duration table there, this shows you every single run that Mermaid performed, so we've got all 23 runs there, and for every single run how long it took, the amount of time it spent doing different things, different tasks in the operation.